Hi. The famous Greek sculptor Phidias worked hard on a sculpture of Achilles, the hero. As Phidias was chiseling the marble to form the sandals, a cobbler came by and noted that the sandal straps were wrong. Phidias thanked him and fixed the error. The cobbler, happy at his contribution to immortal art, added that the belt was wrong too. Ne supra crepidam, said the sculptor, that is, not above the shoe. In other words, stay in your lane. You can comment about your area of expertise, but not outside it. Now, why am I telling you this? And what's the connection to your investing? Here then is the background. A few days ago, I watched the latest clip of a half-hour lecture by Jeffrey Hinton, the U of T genius who modernized AI with backpropagation, the innovative way of letting a neural net learn to recognize pattern and then become artificial intelligence, AI. If you care about AI and its implications, I'd highly recommend you watch the lecture too. It's called Will Digital Intelligence Replace Biological Intelligence? It's part of the Romanes lecture of the University of Oxford, was given on February 19, 2024. The lecture was an eye-opener, as most of other lectures of Hinton. Why? First, the lecture laid out clearly the two ways that AI can see the world. The first way is by seeing data as a world of categories, or as they are called in AI, features or attributes. All data is seen as a collection of its attributes. In the world of physics, this conforms to old physics, when the world is represented by its categories, also known as reductionism. Look up in my book, The Advanced Growth Investor, where I show how this can lead to finding the information that cannot be represented this way, and so help you take other people's money. Look it up. But the second, more modern way is seeing the world as connections. All data are defined not via their own attributes, but rather via the various connections to other data in the world. These two ways allow AI to learn how to represent the world better, and so make forecasts about what's coming, or the most profitable way or most economical way of acting, or simply the best way to win. But it also leads you to think that the program can be separated from the hardware on which it runs, that hardware and software are separate. In other words, once you have a neural net that optimized itself and learned, you can take its weights and publish them, and any other computer could run it just as the first one could. That is, the software is separable from the hardware. Such a run often requires a lot of power, often megawatts of power. But, said Hinton, is this the only way? Is this how our own brain is run? Apparently not. Our own brain is a combination of hardware and software combined, and it runs only at 20 watts or so. And, said Hinton, apparently you can also imagine a neural net that runs not digitally in a binary way, but analogically, with voltages, resistances, capacitance, and so on, acting as circuits. This would sacrifice precision, but could, in theory, run a neural net on mere tens of watts, like the brain. Yes, the software would not be separable from the hardware, and you'd sacrifice some precision, but you could do many more things on the run, immediately and on the cheap. He calls it mortal AI. It could use very low power for analog computation and use over trillions of weights represented as analog conductances. And the hardware could be grown very cheaply, unlike AI machines today. Now, could such a system, or even the kind of AI we have now, one day supplant us? Perhaps even threaten humanity? That's what Professor Hinton thinks, and is where I come to the point of this clip. Professor Hinton, who is the prominent expert in his field, famously thinks that AIs are dangerous. He even left his position in Google so as to be able to speak freely about this danger. Should you too then be worried? After all, when the biggest expert in the field gives you his considered opinion, his credibility should trump all others, no? Because by doing so, he fits my 5 criteria for a credible informer. First, he is an expert in the field, which Hinton clearly is. Second, he is close to the action as can be imagined. He surely is. He's very current. Third, his track record of forecasting, of being right, is superb, which again is. Fourth, he is absolutely certain about his forecast, which again he is. But fifth, there's no incentive for him to lie. Indeed, as Hinton said, to be fair, he should disclose that he still owns share in Google, which he got when he sold a small company to it. So not only would his word now not benefit him financially, it may even damage him if listeners decide to sell their Google shares, which does some AI too. So should you be worried like Hinton is? In my opinion, no. Here is why. Professor Hinton was asked what would be the risk of AI, and he blithely said, imagine if a super duper AI fell into the hands of a Xi Jinping or a Putin or a Trump. Boom. With this one statement, my entire trust in his judgment crumbled. Why? Because if a super duper smart person like Hinton cannot see the difference between dictators such as Xi Jinping on one side and Trump on the other, then his judgment must be suspect. All three are unpleasant characters, yes, but the difference between dictators and a freely elected Western official is so large that the very fact that Hinton cannot see it means, to me, that he is blind to his own prejudices. Phidias' pithy comment comes to mind. AI professor, not above your shoe, not outside your expertise. I'd listen to your expertise when it involved AI, but not when it involved politics, because then it could lose me money, which for me is the ultimate criterion. And so it could lose money to you. If you took experts' opinion as gospel when they opine outside their field of expertise, and this includes movie stars commenting about climate change, or TV personalities forecasting about the market, or math professors opining about the election, or day traders forecasting long-term trends. If you listen to outsiders' advice, make sure they at least are in the area in which they have proven expertise, and even then, doubt them. Track all commentators, and once a year, or even more often if you wish, see who has been right and what about who has been wrong and what about. So, can it still happen that AI will be the end of humanity? It's possible, but somehow I doubt it. Why? Professor Hinton himself had proved another previous AI expert to be wrong. Marvin Minsky of MIT had famously said that neural net cannot forecast much because some logic gates they cannot simulate. It's called a NOR gate, if you want to know. In Minsky's days, the only neural net in existence was a perceptron, which included only an input layer and an output layer, nothing in between. But because of Minsky's fame, the development of neural nets was stopped for 30 years. A whole generation lost, all because of Minsky's certainty, an expert certainty. Until Hinton, that is. It was Geoffrey Hinton and some of his colleagues who added a middle layer to the perceptron to do backpropagation, which changed the world and enabled both the first AI and its later derivatives. On a side note, I had audited some of Hinton's early lectures in the U of T and played with the earliest AI versions. One of these, called BrainMaker, could be added to Excel, and in 1994 I used it to forecast the stock market, and even published an article in Barron's about it. Look it up in the library. It was well before Barron's articles were archived on the net. What's my conclusion then? Is that if Hinton's predecessor expert was proven wrong with his bearishness about AI's future, perhaps Hinton's bearishness on AI's future could be wrong too. Keep this in mind anytime you read about an expert giving his or her opinion. Yes, pass it through the 5 filters, but even if it passes, keep in mind it can still be wrong if the speaker is speaking supra crepidam, that is, outside his or her expertise. And so can you be wrong, and so can I. Always doubt, and if still in doubt, sleuth it out. That's all for today. Let me know what you think of the above, and if you like it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell all your friends subscribers they can subscribe to, and buy my books, The Sleuth Investor, The Advanced Sleuth Investor, read them, and give them a review on Amazon, which will be a good one, I hope. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.